bizarre. Okay. This is the point where I stare at myself and preen. All right. So, well, I'm just talking. So that's all. I thought I'd give this a go, just randomly off the cuff because I'm awake. And basically, oh, this is pressure actually. Wow. All right, cool. All right. No, it's no worse than recording a video, especially as there's nobody there. So it's great. Right. Um, oh, hello. Oh, hello. Oh, hi. Oh, I can't pronounce that. Mercy? Have mercy? Oh, I'm so sorry if I pronounce anything wrong. This is, oh my gosh. I can't say hello to all you. Okay, well, hello everybody. This is, okay, I didn't expect this at all. Wow, fantastic, brilliant. Okay, well, hello everybody. 'Tis I. I thought I'd give this a go because I did say something about doing something maybe on Halloween, but then I figured maybe I should see if this was something I was comfortable with first. And I don't know. This is really, ooh. Okay. Well, cool. Have mercy. Oh, I can see it now. You're going to have to forgive me. I have this really, when it comes to names and pronunciation of names, I am so bad. Firstly, I'm dyslexic, which means I have a tendency to read things wrong, usually to quite hilarious effects, actually. My brain will see the first like one or two letters of a word and maybe the ending and decide it's something else. There was once a time in school where there was a headline in a newspaper that said, "Are you a tough nut?" And my brain saw the middle bit and the T and decided the word was donut for some reason. And I had to read, and I read that out loud in class, and obviously, oh well. Okay, so things I've learned already doing the stream is that it makes you ramble like an idiot, and my brain has literally gone up to a level I didn't know it could work at. We could call this panic, maybe. Okay, so I'm going to start actually trying to read stuff. That might help. And see where we go from here. Oh gosh, I'm so nervous. This is ridiculous. Wow, it's like going on the first date. Okay, right. Hello, everybody. Everybody. I cannot read out all the names currently because I am overwhelmed and it's my first time. And I'm sure there are settings that I can put on this to make everything come up a hell of a lot slower. See, I'm just looking and I'm seeing shapes, but not actual words. This is great. Right. Let's start this easy. Okay. Questions. Does anybody want to ask? Do I want to go down that route? Okay, I've got this. Right. Deep breath. Sit up in my chair, which means I'm getting serious. It also means I can't actually read my screen now because there's a certain distance. It's great. I'm going to have a quick drink. Okay. When I grow up, I want to have my swag. Ooh, swag. I don't know if you call it swag. I know this is a Games of Thrones quote, but I actually first heard this quote from Criminal Minds when that Italian FBI agent said to, oh, I can't remember her name, the quirky girl who did the forensics. He says, "You wear your creativity like a suit of armor." Now, I resonated with that enormously. It's kind of like, in nature, where poisonous animals have, I'm not suggesting I'm poisonous, where poisonous animals display the fact they're poisonous because of their bright colors and things. I think indirectly this is a way of saying, look, I'm odd, so just be prepared for the fact that if you speak to me, the experience might be a bit unusual. Also, I got to an age, I was like 45, where I basically said to myself, do you know what? I can do whatever they want. I can do whatever I want. I can do anything I want to my appearance. I can do anything. And really, who cares? I just want to be happy. And if other people don't like it, then those other people aren't the people for me. And so it's kind of an FU attitude. Right. Let's see. Let's try it. Yelly me. Hello, everybody. Do you want to be called Fat Cow? Do you prefer another name? Okay, the Fat Cow. I didn't claim the name. You can't claim a name. But I actually have a tattoo on my leg that I designed myself of a voodoo doll, but the doll's a cow. And the name Fat Cow is written underneath. Because it's a play on when you're a large child, you get bullied, and being called a cow in the UK at least is a very common word to give to overweight females. And so I took claim to that name because it was a name that I grew up being called by other school kids. But the fat, the PHAT, obviously changes the fat from the fat to the slang, which means, kind of cool and stuff. So I've kind of prettified up the insult and claimed it because I am fat and I have grown up being called a cow. And there's no shame in it. And it's not nearly the insult you think you are. I think cows are beautiful. They've got the best eyes in the world. And so it's not an insult to me. So I've claimed it. I've called myself other things on various other places. At one point, I called myself Gothic Sloth to one appearance. Two, the sloth is because I have chronic fatigue. I'm always tired. I also referred to myself once as Ursula because I think there's actually there's a familial, we kind of have a similar look, me and Ursula the Sea Hag, and I'm literally just talking absolute rubbish now. Right, let's give this a go. Voodoo dolls. Voodoo dolls are great. Not literally, I mean, I wouldn't actually, because that's a bit sinister. I've made some, not literally. I mean, I have a voodoo doll pincushion that I made. I thought that was quite appropriate. I don't look fat. Oddly enough, I have very muscular shoulders and a relatively slim face, which means that I'm very good at not looking as big as I am. But I am currently 105 kilos at 5'8". I was 125 kilos at one point, which was, oddly enough, not something I realised I'd got to that size. It's weird how you think you're fat when you're not, and then when you are actually fat, somehow you become blind to it. It's very odd. What time is it where I am? It is 4:13 a.m. I know. I have absolutely categorically messed up my sleep schedule. You have chronic fatigue too. Chronic fatigue, yeah. I actually have fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue is one of the major symptoms of fibromyalgia. And the problem with chronic fatigue is when you're having a particularly bad day, you literally are incapable of doing anything. I mean, the other component of fibromyalgia is chronic pain, which is pretty shitty, obviously. But pain you can work through. If you have to do something, you can do it while in pain. But when you're fatigued, you can barely drag yourself around the house. It's like trying to sprint through while being waist deep in treacle. It's it's impossible. Oh, insomnia. Ugh. Um, insomnia. There was one time, I mean, my sleep schedule is very, very bad, and I don't have good quality sleep. I went through a bout of absolute insomnia for a very brief period when I had the flu, and you just want to cry. It's it's horrific, and I'm so sorry. How do I blow? I blow my nose pretty well every so often. The middle one, the septum might pop out. But other than that, it doesn't get in the way. They're very snug to my nostrils. Oh, chronic migraines. Oh, I get migraines once a month, so I suspect it's hormonal. That sucks. That's really, I mean, migraines are a special type of yuck, aren't they? I've been pumping out the content. Yeah, that's because I got ADHD. Um, that's how my brain works. I will be able to produce lots of stuff for a very long period of time, and then suddenly I won't be able to do diddly squat for ages. Mm, yeah. With fibromyalgia, they are getting there when it comes to finding out why. Now, the interesting, and I say interesting like this about fibromyalgia, is a lot of studies have suggested that fibromyalgia is caused by trauma. It's not something you just develop. Um, the trauma could be an incident, a one-off thing, like a death in the family or an accident, or it could be smaller amounts of trauma, but frequently over a long period of time, say like abuse. And I am 100% convinced that the reason I developed fibromyalgia was because of my relationship with my husband. And it's basically having spent a good 5, 6 years in a constant state of anxiety and a constant state of fear. And my body got so set on the cortisol and the adrenaline and all the other chemicals being in my body that it just completely mucked it up, absolutely destroyed it. And now my baseline for everything is my baseline is being anxious. My baseline is being tired. My baseline is being in pain. And that's because my body's been completely shattered by being in that relationship. But beyond that, I'm actually doing really well considering what I went through. And yeah, Tanya P. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Candy Bat. I mean, we've known for a long time that stress is very, very detrimental to your health, the stress of the workplace and everything. But the thing about being in a relationship such as a relationship I was in is even when you get out, you're not out, out. You either would have like, I mean, it affects your life completely. I mean, it's been 12 years now for me. Not 12, it's been 10 years. I started getting ill before the relationship ended. And even now, if a car is driving behind my car and it's behind my car for too long, I think somebody's following me. Oh my gosh, thank you holding on for the tab. That is incredible. Oh, I love the dancing pair. Oh, that's really sweet. Oh, wow. Bless you. When I say bless you, it's not a religious bless you. I just want to state that I do have spiritual beliefs, but I don't want people thinking that I'm forcing anything down on anybody. My bless you is kind of like the bless you would do to a baby, which is so cute, or little kittens and things. So Chronic relaxed pain syndrome is awful. I slipped on black ice and broke my tibia. Oh, flipping heck. Oh, wow. Not thoroughly through. Yeah, I've just been telling my therapist yesterday I appreciate my anxiety because it keeps me going like an adrenaline rush. Whatever. I can't read and talk at the same time. So, how did I get introduced to Foodie Land? Okay. Prior to the lockdown, I didn't watch YouTube at all, except for looking up old videos of music, basically. I didn't. But then I took the plunge and decided to download TikTok for some reason. I'd gone on a social media purge. I'd removed my Instagram. I deleted my Twitter of 10 years because I decided it wasn't good for my mental health, which is odd, seeing as what I'm doing now. So I downloaded TikTok and started watching animal stuff and things, and ventured into the true crime side of things. And Daniel Larson popped up on my For You page, and I found him intriguing enough to actually look for videos for him on YouTube. Now, Daniel Larson is a good segue to the horror cows, because Daniel Larson led me to Chris Chan, which led me to Cyrax and King Cobra and a few others whose names I can't remember. And then after watching them for a bit, Nikocado Avocado popped up in my recommended. I watched one video of his and he didn't interest me in the slightest. It's as if I knew that it wasn't a genuine character, it wasn't authentic. And but Nikocado led me to Amberlynn Reid. And obviously, Amberlynn got me to Foodie. Oh, Suzanne Owens. You maybe boys watch the video on House. How assault was thought of so differently when we grew up. It wasn't thought of as assault at all. It was just something that happened, wasn't it? In the late 80s. So many girls in my school year were assaulted by boys, and it was just a thing you gossiped about, and a thing boys boasted about, and the girls. It was a very weird time. It was a very weird time. You just find something that's opposite mine. You found Foodie first, and then Nikocado. You didn't find him genuine, then Amberlynn, then Cyrax, then King Cobra. I was quite fond of King Cobra for a bit. Thought he had a certain, I wouldn't say charm, but yeah, YouTube's a weird thing. I legitimately think that a lot of people would have been a lot better off if they haven't started a channel whatsoever, and it was their undoing. And it appears that I think a lot of relationships would have lasted a lot longer if they hadn't been YouTube. I am so sorry. I can't read and talk at the same time. I am looking, and I appreciate everything. I really do. Well, thank you. King Cobra is a mess. He's a wreck. We know this. He's not entirely harmless, but I don't think he's especially malicious. Especially. I mean, yeah, he talks a big game sometimes, but he's not like he's a different level of horror cow compared to some of the others. Yeah, I discovered Foodie through the House of Hannibal. Is the House of Hannibal the Hannibal that everybody's talking about at the moment? Because I've briefly heard of him. I know everybody's saying things about him. Right. This is a really good way of realizing that the time delay on speech should be a lot slower. Now, this is my first time, and before you go on live, there's lots of setup, and I find it very interesting to have discovered that not only can you schedule ads and how many ads, you can actually choose to put in ads yourself manually should you want, which is quite interesting considering Foodie said that she has absolutely no control over her ads. I chose to put in ads manually, which I'm not going to do. I don't think I could even if I wanted to. Um, there is one thing I'd like to talk about Foodie, if you don't mind. And that's how she seems to be. What's the best way to put this? If you watch her historically, she was much more eloquent and had a much wider vocabulary and had a better sense of what was going on in general. And her mental decline is quite noticeable recently. She doesn't seem to have the same cognitive abilities as she used to. Yes. Now, I've been doing a bit of research, and there is actually quite a substantial amount of research that links obesity to dementia. It's to do with the fat in the brain. Funnily enough, not funnily enough, it affects the frontal lobe. Yes, she is more unhappy than ever. She is the. It's a lot of people said I would feel sorry for her if it wasn't her, and it is very sad to watch until you remember who she is fundamentally as a person. But the obesity is destroying her in so many ways. I had no idea that it affects your brain to that degree, but we're actually seeing it in real time because of the decline. Kuwait was the worst thing she has ever done to herself. Kuwait was absolutely the worst thing. The decline since she's moved to Kuwait is absolutely astronomical. She was never going to go in a good direction anyway, at all. This was never going to end well. Yeah, back when she was with BB, there was a chance. And when she started YouTube, that was the beginning of the end. She is a prisoner of her own making. The baby talk, the faces that she pulls as well. The kind of baby faces. The baby faces. Is it in part of her isolation? Well, I'm very isolated. But I don't feel trapped and I don't feel obligated to stay in isolation. She's put herself in a position where she can't get herself out of the isolation because if she stepped outside, she's useless anyway because she can't speak the language. She doesn't know the culture. Yeah, we are literally in real time seeing the almost decomposition of a person. So happy you like that. It's a bit late. Oh, 12:30 a.m. Yeah. And the thing is, I was questioning whether or not, because she rewrites her narrative so often. There's one point recently she was the when she was talking about the rice, the palm of rice in her hand, and I was questioning of whether she genuinely believed that was what the doctor said. Um, because there's evidence all over the internet that the doctor said this is a palmful, and now she's saying this is. And she actually challenged people to find the evidence. And I was wondering whether she actually genuinely believes that. And now, having done the research on obesity and dementia, I think she genuinely doesn't remember that that was said. She has rewritten the narrative literally in her brain. And I think she believes most of the time what she's saying, and she forgets what was said and forgets what she's done. And because she's got a pattern of lying, she can actually lie to herself now. No, there is no way a diabetic doctor or even a regular GP would recommend to a diabetic to eat that much rice in a sitting. I personally am of the opinion that a doctor would suggest not eating rice at all, but they may have erred on the side of caution given Foodie's size and realised that saying you can't eat this at all wouldn't have worked. So maybe if I say you can have a bit, they might change for the better. But no, she doesn't want to know. No, she doesn't want to know. The thing is, I find it really hard to believe she is, or she's convinced herself that she's having a good life. It's, it's, I mean, objectively, it's a really shitty life. And you could say, well, maybe she's pretending it's good because of her pride and her defiance. But I think she is legitimately happy sitting at home on the sofa, just eating and doing nothing. That is ideal for her. And I can't imagine being happy with that. I can't. Well, it's not my place to say if she's happy, she's happy, but she's, I don't know where I'm going with this. At least with videos, you can remove when you start talking rubbish. Food is the only thing that gives her pleasure. It is the only thing that gives her pleasure. And I have said this for a long time. When you have a food addiction, the endorphins and the happy chemicals that are released in anticipation of eating food and when you actually eat the food can be, not my description, but as described by some people who have food disorders in terms of food addiction, can be borderline orgasmic. Now, try to imagine that if every time, it'd be the first time you eat something, because the remaining mouthfuls are never going to be as satisfying as the very, very first one. It was almost orgasmic. If your life is so dire and so boring, yes, that is going to be something you're going to seek throughout the day. She's so used to lying to the camera that she's telling herself that this is the best life. She thinks she's happy and that she's doing it and what she wants. It isn't dealing with the happy emotion. Can you convince yourself you're happy? I mean, everybody else can see she's not. How far do you think the delusion goes? You see, the thing is, I 100% believe, and I will stand by this, that she has narcissistic personality disorder. And the thing about narcissists is they are never wrong, ever. You will never get a narcissist to admit they're wrong, with the exception of if they can blame their being wrong on somebody else. So she's never going to admit to being unhappy. She's never going to admit that moving to Kuwait was the most stupid thing she's ever done in her life. She is never going to admit to any of these things. She would literally rather die than admit she made a mistake. And as a narcissist, she is always going to portray herself as better than. In my experience of a narcissist, the superiority complex is outstanding. It's inconceivable to most people how appearances and the appearance of being successful, the appearance of being desired, the appearance of being happy is so much more important than actually getting the help you would need to be these things. And a narcissist, the problem is you can't treat narcissism with therapy. Well, you could treat narcissism with therapy, except for the fact that a narcissist will never admit to needing therapy. Never. Because there's nothing wrong with them. Nothing wrong with them. Now, if you add the narcissistic personality disorder with histrionic personality disorder, which I also believe she has, which is somebody who craves attention so much that they will use any way possible to get the attention, particularly their sexuality, their body, their what they have to offer in that department. And also she has what I believe is oppositional defiance disorder, which speaks for itself, which is she's argumentative. She will fight to the death for what she believes is her rights, her whatever. And so she has got so many cluster B personality disorders that she doesn't actually stand a chance to redeem. There is no redemption arc here because everything is against her. She's got one condition that means she will never admit to being wrong and never admit to having problems. She has another condition that means she has to have attention, and another condition that means she's going to react so violently when being confronted. And if you add all those things together, this is what you get, is Foodie Beauty. The thing about, Yarn Enthusiast, I don't think she was happy with Pete. She could push him around and have an enabler. Everybody that she's been with, apart from Nada, is a pushover. I don't think Foodie... anybody with a strong enough personality wouldn't be with Foodie, I don't think. So she's always going to end up with doormats, for want of a better word. I legitimately, Records 221, I legitimately think that if Foodie was physically capable of physical things, that she could murder somebody. And that's a really difficult thing to say out loud about anybody. But her psychopathy, her personality disorders, her history, her need to win, her need for revenge, and it's quite obvious that there are no limits to the lengths that she'll go. Justine Kafer, thank you for your enlightenment us with your wisdom. You're so appreciated. You make me understood more about this narcissistic sociopath. Thank you so very, very, very much. And that actually, I am very easily distracted. I warn you, I'm very easily distracted. And plus, I'll be talking about one subject, another subject will pop in my mind, and that subject will have to come out straight away. I interrupt people all the time. But this is a good way of me explaining why I started this channel. It's actually because of Amberlynn Reid. I was watching Amberlynn Reid reaction channels, and their commentary is good. Their commentary is reacting to what's being done and what's being said and the things that have happened. But every time I would watch them, I'd be thinking, but you're missing something here. You're missing something. You're missing the mental health conditions that are exasperating these things. Mental health and the diagnoses that you get with mental health go a good way to explain why people do certain things. They don't, I've said this many times, they don't excuse the behaviors, because unless you have an intellectual disability, that means you don't understand the consequences of what you're doing, you are 100% responsible for what you do. And Amberlynn Reid is very obviously a narcissist. And very obviously, and I know she uses this as an excuse, but she does very obviously have BPD, which is very evident in her relationships. So there is all these commenters talking about what they've been doing. And I was sitting there watching these thinking, yeah, but nobody's mentioning a possible why it's being done. And it was like my brain decided to fixate on, why isn't nobody saying this? Why isn't nobody saying this? And then my brain decided, I'm going to say this. I am going to say this. And so Amberlynn Reid and my obsession with reaction channels, not addressing the psychological reasons why she was doing what she was doing, is why this channel was created. It was literally, I had an itch in my ADHD brain that wouldn't go away. And the only way to get rid of it was to voice it. And this was the only way that I could think of, because, you know, other platforms are very narrow. There's only so much you can type. There's only so much you could write. So I figured I'd get it out of my system. So this was just literally an ADHD itch that needed to be scratched. And most of my earlier videos are Amberlynn Reid. But since this whole Tommy thing, since Tommy, it was acknowledged that she and Tommy were back together, my interest has diminished somewhat. Louisa Tolholzen, do I have some way we can contact you? I have an email in my the box where it says, you know, you write a little bit about yourself. But I've only just realized yesterday, because somebody else pointed it out, that if you are on an app on a phone, it doesn't show up. But if you're on a computer, it does. But it's Fat Cow Chronicles, one word, no the, so it's just Fat Cow Chronicles @gmail.com. Mel? Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I don't think on live my commentary is necessarily excellent, but you are getting a crash course on how my brain, or what speed my brain runs at when it doesn't have editing. Thoughts on Amber taking a month off and still being at Tommy's? There's one thing, okay, YouTube is Amberlynn's existence when she's in a relationship that doesn't necessarily satisfy her. I always said that if there was one thing that would get Amberlynn Reid off YouTube or get her losing weight, unfortunately she's with somebody who doesn't want that for her, but she would have made changes for a relationship. The problem is, okay, She wants the relationship, and she's just turned her back on YouTube because she's in the relationship she wants. Unfortunately, it's not a relationship where the person's going to encourage her to lose weight. So I think the month off, the impression that I got with her last video when she was talking about coming back was that she really doesn't want to come back. She doesn't want to do YouTube. She wants to live her happily ever after. And she's either been made to come back on YouTube or has to because of money. She doesn't want to do this. She's found what she wants and she's happy. And it's like, you know, when you have a friend who you spend all your time with until they get a boyfriend and then suddenly they disappear. That's Amberlynn Reid with YouTube. That's it. She's got the new boyfriend and now her friends aren't important anymore. The only difference being her friend, YouTube, was paying her salary. So she has to come back. She doesn't want to, though. She has to. Lisa Springer, thank you so much for your comment. FD, thank you so much. What's that? Is that a lemon with a lime? Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, what? Let's celebrate my 5th super on a live stream. It's been 5. Oh, I cannot multitask at all. Crowsy. I feel like Amber will end up making SBBW feeder content with Tommy and leave YouTube. Yes, I think that is where Amber is going to end up. Absolutely. She doesn't want to do YouTube. Ooh. Oh, wow. Oh, how cool. I have no idea what this is. Oh, look, I can send a member chap. I never got into ALR. I'm exhausted by Foodie, but you make it tolerable. I'm fascinated by her non-stop hypocrisy. Thing is, okay, it's bad. She's bad. Oh, thank you, Catsy. Oh, wow. Oh, that's are they chow chows? He's very cute. Foodie doesn't think she's as bad as she is. She legitimately doesn't think she's bad. And she legitimately 100% thinks she defends herself, which is, it's actually forgets she started things. Can anybody explain what FB's table is chin height now? Because she's hiding her body. It is literally, in terms of body language, she's created a wall, a barrier. So she's metaphorically hiding behind it. And the lower she gets, the more she's hiding herself. It's very suggestive of deception, the barrier. It's like when people cross their arms when they're talking to you. It's to give space, and it's very indicative of deception or hiding stuff. And she is literally fading back and drawing back. There's part of me that doesn't think she wants to be on YouTube at all either, to be fair. Welcome to Fat Cat's Lizard's Brain. Yeah, that's the bit that doesn't shut up, that bit. Will she weigh in on Wednesday? No. No. I don't think so. Have you noticed that the treadmill is unplugged? I just thought that was interesting. Not necessarily. The hypocrisy and cognitive there is wild. I've never seen it so strong in a person before. She will twist things so much to justify them. Oh yeah, Effie Bug. Every time she tries to insult people, she describes herself to a T. That is when she talks about what people have done to her and what they've said, and they have said the most disgusting and vile things about my body. They have disrespected my family. They have this, and this. And I'm sitting there thinking, but so have you. You have said the most disgusting and vile things about other people's bodies. And it's incredible. It's incredible how what she's done and what's they've done, when they do it, it's so bad. And when she does it, it's defending herself. It's fascinating to see how a brain can work, to be honest. She has so many similarities in terms of her disorders, her history, what's happened to her, with legitimate, actual studied serial killers. It's scary. The only, this is going to sound so bad, but the only difference between the psychopathy of some serial killers and Foodie Beauty is that Foodie Beauty hasn't had a head injury. That sounds really bad, doesn't it? I mean, it is backed by psychology. You've got to bear in mind that 1 in every 100 people are psychopaths. Okay, 1 in 100 are actual psychopaths. But it's just that most psychopaths. Oh, Maddie Pondu Cruz, that's great. Thank you so much. That's brilliant. So yeah, 1 in 100 people are psychopaths, but obviously not 1 in 100 people are serial killers or criminals. They studied psychopaths in the workplace, and there are 2 professions that have more psychopaths statistically than they should be. If you think 1 in 100 are psychopaths, then 1 in 100 people in this office environment should be psychopaths too. But in finance and politics, it's more like 20 in every 100 are psychopaths. It's as if instead of turning to crime and violence, these psychopaths have turned to exerting power over people in different ways. Now, the majority of serial killers, psychopathic serial killers. Thank you, Nacho Girl. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so very, very much. Amy Gracia Avil. She is so early for her partner Salah to love her. If he truly put it down, if Foodie could make the changes. However, if she did, it would unleash a new beast in her. I have something to say about that in a minute. The only one catalyst for a lot of psychopaths that later on become very violent killers is a head injury. In terms of statistically, the amount of serial killers who have had head injuries is not as it should be. It seems to be not a catalyst, but there's a history of hurting animals, bedwetting, setting fires, having problems with parents, particularly mothers, abuse, crime and crochet. Hello, has it been a month already? Since I've been able to, yes, I know. Scary, isn't it? It's almost November. That's shocking. So if you look at the history of most violent criminals, we've got the animal cruelty, bedwetting, setting fires. We've got problems with parents, particularly mothers. A lot of them, the fathers are absent. There's abuse, trouble at school, and the whole history really fits in with Foodie's history as well. Really fits in. This is so distracting. So, Foodie's psychopathy is scary. In terms of Salah, I know yesterday I made a video and I told Salah to man up and to put his foot down with Foodie. And it was very rightly pointed out to me by somebody else whose name evades me, and I wouldn't say anyway because I haven't got permission, that I forgot to take into account that Salah, as much as how we feel about him isn't necessarily positive, is probably in an abusive relationship too. And for me to tell him to man up is not the correct way of addressing this. I was thinking of Foodie Beauty as being a child and Salah more as being a parent, when in terms of he's actually a victim too, whether we like him or not. What we see online and how she reacts online is probably only 50% of what she does when she's not online. And the only person there to get that is Salah. And while we're not obligated to have sympathy for him, we do have to acknowledge the fact that he is probably in an abusive relationship with Foodie. He doesn't care. He only wants the money. See, that the whole thing is really tricky. It is really tricky because I also think that he scammed her. But I don't think he got what he thought he was getting. He did not get what he bargained for, really, because she sold herself, not literally, to him as somebody who desperately wanted to change, definitely wanted to take a different path. She sold herself as being somebody who was much more, who was significantly softer of a character and personality than she was. And he truly believed that she wanted to change. So they both conned each other. And he got the raw end of the deal. He really did. Because, yeah, his life has improved in terms of materialistically, but everything else has been absolutely ruined. Could Salah be mentally delayed? Now, here's the thing. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people have been arguing whether he's on the spectrum or anything. And the thing is, you cannot make a diagnosis on Salah when he is speaking a second language, because to speak a language that's not your native language requires a lot of brain power, which is going to give a slightly different impression of you. So the only people that could diagnose Salah would be other Arabic-speaking people who would observe him speaking Arabic in his natural setting. I'm loath. I think Salah is pretty average in terms of everything, apart from one thing, which we know he's below average. You see, the thing is, okay, as a group, people aren't that smart as a rule. If you think about IQs and you say that the average IQ is 100, which means that for every 100 people, there are 50 people that are below that. And so what's average isn't nearly as cognitively as impressive as you would think it is. And one thing social media has shown everybody is that actually a lot of people are incredibly uninformed or uneducated, or have opinions that you cannot comprehend how they've gotten there. I mean, this is my example, and it is no offense to you Americans, but it's an American statistic. Apparently, allegedly, 5% of people asked in America about chocolate milk thought chocolate milk came from brown cows. And if that is not an example of what we're dealing with, Salah wants to be famous. Yes, Salah wants to be famous. And if his channel took off to the point it was monetized, Foodie Beauty would be out. And she is encouraging him, not realizing that if he gets his own source of income from social media, he doesn't need her anymore. He is currently famous for all the wrong reasons. How has he got memberships? Don't you have to have a certain amount of memberships? I don't understand. Chocolate milk should come from brown cows, though, yes. But what about strawberry milk? There are no pink cows. Pink cows would be really cute. Americans like to troll pollsters. Then the statistic that should be 5% of pollsters believe that Americans believe that chocolate milk comes from cows, brown cows. Apparently the chocolate milk thing is, but there again, you could think, well, that's ridiculous. How can anybody believe that? But then you've got Anne Boleyn talking about how the sun is real, but there's lots of theories about it that she doesn't believe. You know, you've actually heard out of people's mouths some things that people believe. So, is it surprising? I mean, pink milk. Oh, pink, yeah, pigs do have pink milk, don't they? Is it cows that have pink milk? There is something that has pink milk. Your KMB Stitches. My mum told me her co-worker believes that about chocolate milk, a grown woman. How's the moon bright at night when it's almost a literal... Yeah. People do believe the strangest things. People do believe the strangest things, yes. Yes. The cow tipping is real. Who's the cow tipper? See, I don't delve into the followers of Foodie Beauty or the Beezers so much, but I hear about the cow tipper. Cow tipper's Yo Mama. Oh. I know of Yo Mama. I've never seen any of his stuff. Didn't he start out as a reaction channel and failed monumentally at it? So now he's just talking crap about people channel? He's awful too. Not surprised. Yo Mama's a cow tipper. He's boring. I was going to say. I have a question for you guys. I mean, I'm presuming that your opinions on Foodie Beauty are quite similar to me. Tokyo! This is mind-blowing. This whole being connected with everybody at the same time thing. Somebody my age who existed before even computers were a thing. This talking to people all over the world is mind-blowing. So I'm presuming you guys have similar feelings towards Foodie Beauty as I do. And when you see Foodie Beauty, you can see who she is straight away. And you can see what she's doing. You can see her deception. You could see, oh, me sitting opposite Mr. Snowflake. I am sorry. No disrespect. I don't want to scare him or anything, but I have a real thing about beards. Beards make me giddy. I love beards. It's like if a man likes boobs or bottoms, I'm exactly the same for beards. So I don't think it would be wise. Sorry. The Beezers, why can't they? Okay. I'm sure some are trolls. Okay. But why do you think that? I don't hate Foodie. Dumb or not dumb. I don't hate her. I am fascinated by her psychology. It's fascinating. In the same way, I find criminal psychology and serial killers fascinating. Beards are amazing, yes. Pongong, I can't even say the word, but there is a word for it. Same with tattoos. Beards and tattoos. Oh dear. The people who actually legitimately 100% stand by Foodie, okay, and believe what she says and believe she's the victim and believe that she's just defending herself. Who are these people? I'm sorry, but I don't understand. Amber R, beards, tattoos, and dogs swoon. Beards, tattoos, and loving animals in general swoon. And self-deprecating sense of humour. And being kind. Anyway. Is there a demographic of if you took Foodie Beauty supporters and put them in a line, would they all meet a certain demographic in terms of age, status, in terms of whether they're single or not, weight, political leanings? Is there a Foodie Beauty minion starter pack? Quite a few are young and impressionable, and the others are older, like 70, and are helpers. You feel like they're similar to her. Not cool about America's can basinging. I'm really sorry, Katsy. I don't understand what that says. America's basing. Low IQ, assume obese. I was thinking more in a way like Karens, the kind that get so self-indignant and so self-righteous over really pathetic things, but they feel like they have to shout and defend it, and that's my parking space. Do you know who my husband is? Show some respect. Those kind of people. Sorry, I'm trying to read and yes. Oh, bashing. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry if that's what you think. I was just quoting a statistic that happened to be about Americans, and I did preface it with that I'm not bashing Americans. It just happened to be a statistic that was done to some of the American population. If I can think of a British one, I definitely will, or I will find British ones. British Look, we voted, not we, but we voted for Brexit. So that's all I need to say. That's all I need to say. I think Teardrop's a troll. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Foodie doesn't love anybody. I don't think she's actually capable of love. And I don't mean that because she's who she is in terms of her psychopathy. Some people legitimately cannot feel love. It's not their fault. It's just the way their brain is wired. My ex, who is the sweetest man on the planet, admittedly, thank you, Dumb and Not Dumber. How did I learn about foodie beards are hot beards? Oh, anyway, don't distract me. I'm talking about my ex, who's a lovely man. Not obviously that ex, but he's on the spectrum with some other diagnoses, and he told me flat out, I don't love you. I'm sorry, I can't love you. I'm not able to love anybody, but out of all the people I've ever been with and met, I am the most fond of you. I don't think Foodie can love. I think she can obsess. I think she can lust. I don't think she can love. And you just have to look at her pets to see that. I'm sorry, I have pets. I know what loved pets are like. I know what how a loved pet interacts with the person who loves them. Sorry. I'm that cat does not love Foodie. Doesn't. She doesn't love that cat. What she wants, what she gets from a pet is being loved. And she doesn't talk about how she loves her pets. Thank you, Tia. Really appreciate your take on things. Breath of fresh air and a sea of nonsense. It is nonsense, isn't it? Foodie has pets because she wants to be loved. She talks about how Julia loves her. She talked about how Sam loves her. She never says she loves them, not once. Just because a cat pays you attention doesn't mean they love you. That cat, for one, is obviously hungry. Obviously hungry. And you're right. When a cat loves you, you can't get the bugger off you. All my cats are asleep, which is very wise. But they're nearby. They are nearby. Fetal alcohol syndrome. Blue Daisy? What a lovely name. Do you know that gets thrown about a lot recently? I'm not saying you're throwing it about or it's just, but a lot of people are saying that they said that about, I read that somebody suggested that about Destiny yesterday. And they've said that about Salah. And I know there's a certain distinctive facial indications. The problem is you can't tell with Foodie either way because, for want of a better word, her size has distorted her face. So everything looks smaller and closer in and whatever than it would do. I think, off topic, but about her mother, is the effect of how she was raised prior to the stepfather coming. Stepfather came when she was about 6, yeah? Well, the most important developmental years for anybody is up until the age of 7. And I think that the being with her grandma most of the time and other things seems to imply that Foodie's relationship with her mother was not nearly as healthy as she likes to portray. Some of the symptoms of fetal alcohol syndrome are lack of awareness, consequences, impulsiveness, poor self-control. That is very, very true. But it's also impulsiveness, poor self-control is also histrionic personality disorder and oppositional defiance disorder. Catsy, thank you so much. I feel like I was misunderstood here. I want to support this live. You are supporting this live. I don't understand about me misunderstood here. Oh, no, 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 don't know. You are supportive. Salat and Pez, similar. Pez was, you see, Pez, being on the spectrum, probably would suggest that he didn't understand that he was being treated badly. Does that make any sense? Because she was hot. She used him. She absolutely used him. There's been very significant trauma in Foodie's childhood. As a survivor, I see it in her. Oh, it was a joke about bashing America. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, my brain's just gone. Bloop. Okay, Jennifer T. I enjoy your informative, educational, and hilarious content. Sorry that I am working and can't chat. Love from Tokyo. Love back to Tokyo. I'm sorry. Dumb or not dumb. She didn't even answer my super chat. I'm really bad at this so far. It's my first time. Not that that's an excuse, but also my brain is a shit, and I get so easily distracted. And I apologise. I'm so sorry. This is going to take practice, and I don't know how anybody else does it, to be honest. I think there was a time delay of 60 seconds, and apparently there was an option to slow it down, but I didn't know what would be considered fast or not. And obviously, whatever I've got it on is fast. I'm trying, but I am a chronic people pleaser. Oh, how did I learn about Foodie Beauty? Okay, brilliant. Thank you, young enthusiast. Foodie Beauty was like 6 degrees of separation from Daniel Larson. Daniel Larson popped up on my recommended, and then I was inundated with recommendations about lots of horror cows. And horror cows lead you to lol cows. And there we go. Anne Boleyn Reid and Foodie Beauty. I don't consider Foodie Beauty a lol cow because there's nothing funny. There is no funny anymore. But I don't have another word for it. But I don't think lol cow is the right word anymore. People you like to have a laugh at. It's not funny. It isn't. It's kind of sad, in a way. In the same way as you feel sympathy for anybody who is having a difficult time. But then there's always a part of you, being human, that says, yeah, but look who it is. And it's really hard to not do that. Even if you really try to not do that, it's really hard to feel complete sympathy for people who are so easily prepared to be so vile to other people. Debbie's, well, there are no consequences for her tirade on Friday night. No. And that's because she removed it all. And as long as it's not on her channel to be investigated, regardless of how many people have archived it, she won't be punished for it because she removed it. And she knows that. Vile cow is, yeah. And it is hard to feel sorry for her. However, something did happen as a child, or some things happened as a child. You're not born this way. Sorry. Lydia, 341 people watching here. And FB finally gets 100 for most of her live streams. Really? There's 300? Oh, good grief. That's incredible. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, that is funny, isn't it? Dumber, not dumber. Why did I tattoo my forehead? I have found forehead tattoos appealing for a very, very long time. Thank you, Nicholas. Twit. Well, thank you so much for the dancing. Is that a pair? Oh, that's cute. I have always known since I was tiny I wanted tattoos. I used to draw on myself all the time and keep them there and things. And I have quite a few tattoos already. And when I started investigating my spiritual beliefs that I hold now, I hold a lot of, not hold a lot of, I have cherry-picked beliefs from various philosophies and religions. If I was going to call myself anything, I would say I was pagan. But I have studied and embraced beliefs from Native American, Wiccan, Nordic, Buddhist, some Islam I've kept with me. And so it's a very eclectic individual rules I live by myself. And I've chosen to express it somewhat through the facial tattoos. If I could legitimately appear like anything, as in if I had the opportunity, if I had whatever, I would, I don't know, something that looked almost mythical. Not that I'm trying to look mythical, but I'm just expressing myself. And it's just an extension. It's also, in some ways, just me allowing myself to be me and to brush off the opinions of society, because facial tattoos are it's not like an act of rebellion or an FU to the man or anything. But I've been put in a position where my tattoos do not affect me in terms of whether I can work or not, because I cannot work. My health is too poor to allow me to hold down a job. And so I am free in the respect that what I do to my appearance doesn't have an effect on my life in terms of whether I can work or not, because that's been taken away from me. It's no longer on the table. So I've taken advantage of this fact that I can present myself in any way that I want, because it will have no direct effect on my life. I described that really badly, but I mean, if I have the opportunity, and this is something I've wanted since I was a child as well, I will. And if I have disposable income, you bet I am getting fangs. Absolutely. I've always wanted fangs since I was a kid. I've always wanted to be a cat. Catwoman was my first love. My first love was Catwoman. I wanted to be Catwoman so bad when I was little. Really, really badly wanted to be Catwoman. And there you go. Pitta Princess. Appreciate. Oh, don't go away. Hello. Oh no. Here we go. Appreciate your analysis. This has been intriguing and fascinating. Please continue with live streaming. I will be more prepared next time. I'm going to watch, thank you so much, videos before I go on next time, which I should have done this time, but this was a spur of the moment thing that I thought about doing yesterday, but then you have to give them 24 hours notice before you can start. Nanu. Oh, you're going to have to give me a phonetic spelling of your name. Nanu. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can you share a bit about the actual design itself on your forehead? You wear it well. Like most things in my life, it's partly accidental, because I had something else on there prior that went really, really badly wrong, and I needed to cover it up with something. And I not literally, just picked something out of a book. That's rubbish. I'm talking to myself. Sorry. I narrowed it down to certain designs. And out of the designs I narrowed it down to, which were literally just designs that resonated with me, but didn't have any particular significance to anything spiritually particular, because I didn't want to disrespect anybody in any way, shape or form, because facial tattoos are very have a lot of links with certain beliefs, and I don't want to be accused of cultural appropriation or religious appropriation. So I chose some designs that didn't belong to anything, but that resonated with me. And then out of the 3 designs that I narrowed down, I chose the one that covered up the mess that was there before best. So it's a design that resonated with me, but has no spiritual connections to any other religions, because I didn't want to offend anybody. Thank you so much, everybody. This is... No, it's okay. Debbie's World. I will get the hang of it. StreamYard and pros and cons, I've heard, is much easier. I started teaching myself to draw. Blue Daisy, I've started teaching myself to draw. I write down drawings as a pink and green dragon. Thank you so much. I'm trying to process the green bit. the thing about art is what you think is good and what other people think is good when it comes to your own work is very different. You will always find fault with your own work, always. And you will be surprised how many people do not see what you think are faults and will be monumentally impressed. Mrs. Dumb and Dumber getting upset they didn't get a response. Like pay for. Look, you are well within your rights if you give a chat to want an answer, because I mean everybody on here is worthy of a response, but it's really, really difficult. I vouching. Will I switch to live streams instead of recording videos? No, because I like to. Although my videos are very casual in terms of I literally just press record and say what I think. As you can see, I have a tendency to go off tangent. I have a tendency to waffle. And when I make a video, there is, unless it's one of those fun, stupid ones, there is always a point I'm trying to get across. And I want that point to be clear. So I'm not going to make live streams my bread and butter. I'm going to do this live stream, have a think about it, think about whether or not it's something that I could do regularly as a promise, whereas I will say I will do this at a certain time and do it at a certain time, because I am very unreliable in terms of it's not psychologically or mentally that I'm unreliable. My body, my health decides whether I do something or not. I'm one of those people that I will say I will absolutely go out with you Friday night. Categorically, you can't keep me away. And then Friday morning, my body's like, oh, no, you're not. And so I will have to be aware of my limits, because I calculated, given where the majority of my audience is, that in order for me to do a live stream at an optimum time, I will either have to deliberately wake myself up to do it, or in this case, I just happened to have woken up at 2 a.m., which is very spontaneous and seems to be working. But I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep. So, short tater fluff. Think about it long. This community is full of jealous attacks. I'm aware. Look, before I even came on YouTube, I had a good talk to myself about the fact that a lot of people are going to, not a lot, maybe a lot. I mean, statistically, there's a good chance that I would not be taken seriously based on my appearance alone. And I get that. A lot of people can't see beyond appearances. So I know that I'm a very easy target for ridicule. But I also know that I am someone who knows and expects it. Whether I know or expect how bad it can get, I don't know. We've seen how low people will go. So whether I can deal with that or not, I don't know unless it happens. But I am not going to assume that it's all going to be, love and flowers. Within the first 2 days of my very, very, very first upload that I showed myself in, I got told that I was a Satanist, and I got told I looked stupid. I got accused of being educationally challenged. So it was pretty much there from the start what I expected. The insults I have been given so far. Hello, Kathleen. You who's always first, which I think is brilliant. Thank you so much. So far, I haven't received a criticism or an insult that I hadn't actually genuinely expected. So it doesn't bother me because I knew these were the things that were going to be pointed out, and what I was going to be attacked for. The fact of the matter is, you can go for my appearance all you want. It doesn't mean what I say is not valid. I've been on the fringes of every group, every clique, every cliche my entire life. I don't expect to belong at all. I am actually, the amount of support I get in comparison to the amount of criticism I get, for me, is absolutely mind-blowing. I thought I'd get more criticism than I do, and I actually didn't expect the support. And that's no disrespect to anybody, but I am very aware of how I come across. And as I said before, I know I am a very, very acquired taste. And I am pleasantly surprised. You've also got to bear in mind that my impression of how audiences treat reaction channels is just people going on about getting hate. And so I just assumed that's how it would work, and I was prepared for it. And actually, no, not at all. My experience thus far of this part of the internet is that it's full of very aware, very conscious people who actually put some thought behind their opinions. Anti-Beezers. There are a lot of anti-Beezers. The antithesis of a Beezer. And you should be absolutely pleased as punch that you are that. Absolutely. You're a brilliant, brilliant bunch of people. And I thank you. Not Sarah Lee 358. We're all a little off here in Girl World Lol, each to our own ways. Yeah. I mean, you have to be to watch Foodie Beauty, I think. A little bit. A little bit. Not necessarily in the bad way, but she's not exactly what you would call highbrow entertainment. No. Nicholas Twid. This channel and Milk Tea have been my favourites for the analysis for some of the channels I watch for amusement. Now, I could say that's because we're British, but I won't. but it might be. Nah. Milk Tea says exactly what she thinks in exactly the same way as I would imagine she talks about anybody and in real life. She isn't playing a character. She doesn't try to be anything that she isn't. She is a intelligent, quick-witted individual who has opinions and doesn't pretend to be anything else. She just has an observation and she states it. No bullshit, no faffing about. So you've got to appreciate that. You've got to be yourself. Authenticity. Authenticity. Because, yeah, sorry, my brain went, I don't even know what I was thinking. I suddenly was thinking about Mr. Cornflake. Mr. Cornflake. Sorry. It's just I saw his name. Mr. Snowflake's name, and suddenly my brain went somewhere else. Not in that way. Do you know what? Okay, to the program, you always gain a world of insight for me. I have had an arguably shit life. I have had many lessons thrust upon me, the majority of which are of my own volition because I'm an idiot. And gratefully, I have, I believe, learnt from these. Not necessarily at the time, but with age, things become a lot clearer. And I try to communicate in the same way as I communicate with my children, which is to basically tell it as it is to the best of my ability without exaggerating it and without sugarcoating it as well. The world, life is difficult. It is difficult. And it's crap. And you will meet crap people. And work is crap. Having to have a job is crap. Everything's crap. We fucked up somewhere along the way. I think the Industrial Revolution has a lot to blame for. We were doing all right-ish before we started inventing machines and things. Ish. You know, nothing has ever been perfect. And so I want to make my children realize that not to expect a Hollywood life, the boy meets girl life, the happily ever after life, the whatever, because that's not realistic. I'm not trying to scare them either. I'm not trying to, make them scared to go out in the world and things too. But there's so much, not danger per se, but there is so many ways a person can get hurt. And I don't want them to be naive. And I talk to you guys in exactly the same way as I would talk to my children, not in a patronizing way. I've never patronized my children either. I've never spoken to them like children. I just think that if I've learned something and telling somebody what I learned from it helps somebody, then why not? I have no shame in the things I've experienced in my life. They are things that they are my history. They are what happened to me. It's not going to change. And there's no shame in me saying I have an eating disorder. There's no shame in me saying I was in an abusive relationship. There's no shame in these things that happened to me. They just happened to me. And if there's anything I've learned from them and that knowledge could help somebody, then why not? I acted, it's going to sound a bit pretentious, and I hate coming across as pretentious or arrogant. It's actually something that I worry about extensively. But I am of the belief, and if you want to call it my spiritual belief, then it be so, that you should try to make the world a better place when you leave it than it was when you found it, even if the difference you made is only to one person. If everybody made something better, even by an increment, even by a small amount, collectively, that would be monumental. Monumental. So if you see somebody having difficulty reaching something on the shelf, help them. It sounds stupid, but it's made a difference to somebody. If somebody is wearing a particularly spectacular pair of shoes, tell them. I know it sounds stupid. And sometimes you get really weird reactions too that make you think, oh, okay. But it's just, this is my belief that I live by. Try and make things a bit better. Just a little, even just a tiny bit. Even if it's just picking up some rubbish. It doesn't take that much effort, and it doesn't take that much out of your day. Would Bender, I have the ability to be in the wrong place in the wrong time, and it's a learning curve. I have the ability to ignore red flags like nobody's business. I, retrospectively looking back, every crappy relationship I've ever had, I knew from day dot something was off, and I just ignored it. I am histrionically, whatever, really, really good at ignoring bad things. Really good. Omnipotent. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong because anyway, Mama. It helps with healing from trauma to sit with somebody else experiencing it and to be there with someone when you don't have it. Yes. As long as that person isn't talking because they want to be, they're taking attention away from you. You understand that some people you'll say, oh, I don't feel well today. And the other person goes, yeah, I don't feel well today either. And their unwell happens to be worse than your unwell, because there are people that are like that. But there is a lot of importance in knowing you're not alone. A lot. One thing I did get from Twitter before I decided it was bad for my mental health, and yes, I know I'm on Twitter again now, but it's for this account, it's not personal, was I was just talking with some other people about body dysmorphia, and I said casually that I have daydreamed about cutting off my belly, my fupa, because I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I have daydreamed about how I would go about doing it myself, which sounds really bad. But then I found out that actually the people I was speaking to were like, yeah, so have I. I've had daydreams about how, surgically changing my body myself. And suddenly you don't feel so alone for having such an intrusive or stupid or weird thought that makes you think, is there something wrong with me for thinking these things? You just find out that actually somebody else has had that thought, and suddenly you're like, okay, so I'm not as weird as I thought I was, because up until then I thought I was the only person that had had this thought. And to find out that 2, 3, 4 other people that I happen to be communicating with have that thought too was it opened up a whole like, right, okay, I'm not that effed up after all. And so finding out you're not alone because somebody has casually mentioned something and you're like, me too, or that happened to me too, makes it easier to cope with, makes you feel less lonely, makes you feel less strange. Sorry, I got distracted again. Omnipotent Mama, I'm late to diagnose high functioning autistic, so I'm well acquainted with feeling alone and wanting to feel less alone. Yeah. No, I understand. I understand completely. I'm a late diagnosed person of ADHD. And I always knew my brain was wired differently. I always knew that my way of getting to the same conclusion as other people took a completely different path to get there. But it wasn't until I had children and they are on the spectrum and I started looking into autism and ADHD that I'm like, oh, fuck, all right, maybe I should talk to somebody about this. So, but I've always pretty much been alone. I guess in a way it's easier that way because there's less mood swings, less people you have in your life, less moody things happen, in my opinion. You know, you wake up, you're by yourself, your mood stays pretty much the same because there's nobody whose mood is affecting you. Because other people, if I'm in a room with somebody who's in a bad mood, my mood isn't bad in terms of angry. I'm usually anxious or frightened. So interacting, having, being alone works for me. Tia, you do get very, very, very set in your ways when you're alone, don't you? The idea of having another adult live in my house with me is just not. I've decided that if I ever have a serious relationship, we're not going to live together. We can live near each other, but not together. Simple as that. Diary of a recovering fatty. I'm trying to get officially diagnosed for autism. I'm diagnosed for ADHD. I was so happy because it helped my weirdness make sense. It is nice to have a name for things. It's nice to know. One of my thought processes is if it's been given a name, it must be quite common. And so you feel less alone because it's got a name, you know. Oh, cookie. Raven Moon M. ADHD is great for starting my books. Now finishing them on the other hand, face palm. Exactly the same for crafts. I will get down to, I literally only have an hour or two left to do before it's finished. And suddenly I'm starting something different. The amount of unfinished craft projects I have is ridiculous. Good day, mate. Good day, Lisa. I'm not okay. If I read, I don't talk. Seems I can't do both. It also doesn't help that if I sit any further back than this, I can't read diddly squat, even with the glasses on. So I'm going to say there's 10 minutes left before it's 2 hours. I'm going to say that I think if I don't give it a finished time, I might still be here tomorrow because I don't know when to shut up and I don't want to be rude by just disappearing because I hate that. So if I just give it a time limit and then we know, because otherwise it'll either go on forever or I will suddenly disappear and feel really bad about it for ages afterwards and have lots of community posts apologising for being ill-mannered and rude, because I have a real pickle up my arse about manners, which is one of the things about Foodie that drives me absolutely nuts, is her manners, her eating, her chomping noises, the cereal thing with the milk dribbling and the was special, the last one, which makes me think that her cognitive decline is getting worse as well. In part, I came on today to see how I got on with this, because I thought it would be quite appropriate if my first live, this is pilot live, not my first live, this is the pilot, be on Halloween. I just thought it would be funny. So I will do this, have a think about how I can better this, how I can cope with this better, because it is really bizarre in a really weird way. So, great pilot. Is it good enough for a season? That's what I want to know. I'll put more preparation into what I want to talk about, and also I might practice speed reading. If I go on some other people's lives and see if I can keep up with their chat, maybe, and see how fast they do it. Don't forget I have 10 free subs that I can give away a month to build up my members. I am really going to have to watch some videos about how to do this properly, aren't I? I should have done this first, but this really was a spur of the moment. I'm awake. Let's give this a go. I actually was thinking, if nobody comes on, do I just sit here and talk? And what do I talk about? I was all prepared to just monologue for ages, and this was really surprising. Creator Studio, I'm doing better than Foodie. I haven't eaten anything. I don't think I ever would eat. I think it's rude. I think it's very, very rude and disrespectful. If it's a mukbang, a genuine mukbang, and that's the point, proper British tart. Thank you, Emma. Unless it's a mukbang, I don't think you should eat on camera, because I think it's rude. That's my personal opinion. Yeah, of course, it goes on long enough. You're going to maybe need a drink or something. Am I starving? No, I'm not starving. That's not what I was going to say. It's just that Foodie eats every time on live, unless she's defending Stella. When you got the full makeup and the red lipstick, then she doesn't eat. That's when she's really pissed off. In SteamYard, you can pin comments and save them for later and bring them up on your stream. You did great. You will learn to evolve your way. Thank you, not Sarah Lee 358. I'll have a look. I will investigate. Seafood pie, but you haven't told us to get bent yet or to fuck off. That's true. That's true. Should I be telling you that if you don't like what I say, you can just unfollow me? That's not the threat that she thinks it is. Nor's blocking. Blocking's not a threat. What's going to happen? Oh no, I've been blocked and it's impossible to make another account to refollow you. What will I do? Anyway, sorry. I should just block everybody. Or, no, what I should do is go live, and then the minute somebody comes up and starts following, I should go off and do something else. Like go to the bathroom, because you didn't know you needed to go to the bathroom the 2 minutes before you went on live. Or brush your teeth. That was weird. I think she's going to have a snack. Much of the same way as every time she disappeared on live in Thailand, she was having a gummy. I think every time she disappears, she's getting a snack. She probably has snacks in the bathroom, to be honest. Or is that something that's like, is that too horrible of a thing to say? Her rage eating, omnipotent. Sorry about the pronunciation. Her rage eating is unlike anything I've ever seen. She needs to shovel in food as fast as she can, but she also needs to rage as fast as she can, unlike anything I've ever seen. You know how certain pets, when you put down their bowl of food, go absolutely insane as if they haven't eaten for days? It reminds me of that. You can't be enjoyable. It can't be enjoyable to eat like. Well, I know from when I binge that only the first mouthful actually registers and can be enjoyed. And then after that, you might as well be eating cardboard because you're not tasting it, you're not enjoying it. You're literally just shoving it into your face. So she's not enjoying the food after the first mouthful. So I don't understand. And I also don't understand how she can say she's starving, as in, I'm hungry. I don't think she actually knows what being hungry feels like. I know what being hungry feels like, and it's not fun. But, and the shisha is horribly rude. And it's also because it's so noisy. It's so noisy, but she knows it pisses people off. She does it very defiantly. Food aggression. Has anybody ever taken food off her? I'm trying to think. It was Amber Lynn that was put on a diet in the home, wasn't it? The group home. Has anybody ever tried to take food off Foodie? I wouldn't dare. Right. I am going to bugger off very, very shortly. I think, yes, they would lose a finger if they tried to take food from them, Nicholas. I'm going to have a think about this. Today's the 29th. Okay, so day after tomorrow's Halloween. Or Shaween. Right. I'm going to have a think about this. I'm more inclined to say that I will be having a proper official live on Halloween, but I will definitely let you guys know by the 30th, which is tomorrow, because I want it to be fun in a way. Now I'm like, I don't know how to end this because I don't. I'm really bad at saying goodbye. Thank you for your patience. I understand it was probably a bit frustrating at times, especially with me trying to read the text, because apparently I cannot talk and read at the same time. I cannot. I'm going to slow it down next time. Thank you for being so patient and gracious. Thank you for even joining. And you've been far, far too generous and far, far too kind and far, far too forgiving. And look, they're my emojis. I've got to make some more. Yes, I'm trying to make them very appropriate for the things I talk about. And yeah, cool. So no, I got distracted again. Sorry. Right. Thank you so much. I am going to watch a lot of other lives and have a good look at how other people do this and watch some instructional videos to understand, because when you set it up, so many things come up. And I am still considering making a video for today because I want to elaborate on the cognitive decline of Foodie Beauty. And I will let you know by tomorrow, before the day has ended on my side of things, whether or not I'm going live. Because being Halloween, I don't think it's fair if I'm the only one who appears. I think Mystic Moo should have a say at the very least. I haven't named the other characters yet. Not that one, but we all know who I'm being when I do that. Anyway, thank you so much. You guys have been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. My anti-beezers. Anyway, take care, and hopefully I will see you guys Halloween. All right. Take care, everybody, and thank you so very, very much. And bless you all. Thank you.